Hello and welcome to the second session of Maitri Therapy from the Maitri Therapy Workbook. We're working out of this workbook. If you would like to get a copy of your own of this workbook, it is available on Amazon.com. This is going to be session 2 of the Maitri Workbook. In this second session of Maitri Therapy, looking at Satya, we will be looking further into a discussion on what is Satya. We will be also doing the blessing of loving kindness, which is a mantra meditation that we recite out loud in the beginning of every session. Then we will be adding to our basic breathing technique offered in session 1 by extending the exhale. We will then be working on a centering exercise that helps us to cultivate a feeling of being grounded and balanced. Then we will be working on a meditation that takes our previous meditation a little bit further by not labeling what takes our attention away, just observing that's taken away. Finally, we'll be working on our worksheet on Satya. Satya is abstinence from falsehood or truthfulness. Iyengar states, truth is not limited to speech alone. There are 4 sins of speech: abuse and obscenity, dealing in falsehoods, calamity or telling tales, and lastly, ridiculing what others hold to be sacred. In this quote, he describes gossip, which often includes manipulation of a story for sensationalism and deflecting attention away from a deeper issue. In fact, any of the common defense mechanisms could fall into one of these sins of speech, like global thinking, everybody else is doing it; rationalization, it's okay if I do it; minimizing, it's really not that bad; uniqueness, but I'm special; and blaming, it's not my fault, are all common defense mechanisms. All of them represent a form of lying, either internally or to another person. Much of the lying we do is to ourselves and serves a purpose to justify thoughts and behaviors we know to be inappropriate. With truthfulness comes a rawness to life. When defenses are dropped and vulnerability is allowed, reality begins to set in. A rather uncomfortable reality, but reality nonetheless. Satya is the process of getting real and comfortable with the discomfort of reality. So when I work with people in a mental health setting or even in a substance abuse setting, a lot of times one of the things that we have to conquer is how we tend to lie to ourselves quite a bit. The lying can go in a lot of different directions. Well, it could be a defense mechanism. I don't want to face what I've done or who I am on the inside. I don't want to face the fact that my thinking might be a little bit different than the people that I surround myself with. I don't want to face these things. We can outwardly lie to others, which happens quite often when my clients tell me things that are happening or maybe leave some things out about what's going on that I really do need to know about. Or they can be lying to ourselves. And that comes through in a variety of ways when I'm working with somebody. So they might be avoiding the truth of a situation. They don't want to accept the blame of how they created the chaos in their lives, or how they're just used to chaos and they keep looking for new ways to create it. Another way that people tend to lie to themselves quite a bit is not really understanding or being able to see the relative safety in an environment. So a lot of people that have some trauma in their background really have a hard time with this one, recognizing the relative safety in an environment and then forcing themselves into a situation where they're probably going to get themselves hurt. We see this a lot, especially with trauma victims, or anybody who has any type of a disorganized attachment style, which I'll get into at another time. But these are people that find that chaos is in some way comfortable, and so they're kind of drawn into the chaos. But the thing is, just because something is comfortable doesn't mean it's necessarily healthy. And then we can lie to ourselves and say, well, I'm comfortable in this, so it's okay. But the comfort does not necessarily mean that the situation is actually healthy for me and it's helping me in any way. So it's just a few ideas about Satya and truthfulness that we're going to carry through. And then at the end of the session, I'll ask you some questions to kind of think about Satya and some of the things that after we've done these exercises and what kind of came up for you. Following along on your workbook, the blessing of loving kindness is found on pages 8 and 9. The blessing of loving kindness is a way for us is a mantra meditation, and it's a way for us to express loving kindness or metta for all beings, including ourselves. So we'll start with the blessing of loving kindness. The first stanza being focusing on ourselves, the second stanza being focusing on our family members, our third stanza being focusing on our teachers, the fourth being friends, the fifth being our enemies, and the last stanza being on for all sentient beings, which means all living creatures. So let's begin with the blessing of loving kindness. If you're following along on your own, I would suggest maybe pulling up your workbook and reading out loud with me. May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering. May no harm come to me, may no problems come to me, may no difficulties come to me, may I always meet with success. May I have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. May all of my family be happy, be peaceful, and be free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. May all of my teachers be happy, be peaceful, and be free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. May all of my friends be happy, be peaceful, and be free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. May all of my enemies be happy, be peaceful, and be free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. May all sentient beings, seen and unseen, born and to be born, be happy, be peaceful, and be free from suffering. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they have the wisdom, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life. Our first breathing exercise today is what we call a calming breath, or 1 to 2 breath. So any type of breath where our inhale is shorter than our exhale will tend to have a little bit of a calming quality about it. With this breath work though, what we're really looking for is to try to do the inhale at half the amount of time that the exhale. Now for this particular exercise, what I'm going to do is try to lead us into a 3 and 6. So a count of 3 on my inhale and a count of 6 on my exhale. This is meant to help us to calm ourselves down a little bit. And the way I kind of like to describe it to people, it's kind of like taking a drag of a cigarette. So if you're smoking and you put your cigarette in your mouth and you suck in really quickly, you hold on to it for a moment, and then you very slowly let it go. That's kind of the idea here. And some people that have some difficulty really would like to quit smoking have found that this actual breathing exercise has really been helpful for them. If they go outside and they just try to practice that part without the cigarette in their hand, it tends to be actually pretty helpful. So we'll start with just a couple of belly breaths, just 3 nice deep belly breaths. Then I'm going to bring in the counting part. Remember, I count and snap my fingers to keep the count. But we're not going to start with the counting. I'm just telling you about it before we get there. So what I'd like you to do is try to find a comfortable seat. Notice your back and your shoulders and also your neck. What we would like to try to do is to make the spine nice and long. So typically what I like to suggest is pulling the shoulders back a little bit so that the bottoms of the shoulder blades are kind of pinching together. It really helps us to straighten the back out. And then to take the crown of the head and try to push it up towards the ceiling. That's giving our spine and our esophagus a nice long windpipe to work from. The other thing that we're going to be doing is really focusing on the belly. So in the first session, we kind of introduced the belly breathing. If you feel like it might be helpful for you as we start, you can put your hands on your belly. If you're laying down, it's a little bit easier to put your hands on your belly and notice the belly expanding, contracting. But if you're sitting up, you may just like to put your hands on your belly. I'm not going to have my hands on my belly for the entire time because I have to keep the count. So sometimes I might just leave my one hand on the belly just to bring attention to the belly. So what we're going to do now is through the nose, we're going to take a nice deep inhale and hold on to it and then slowly let it go. So inhale through the nose, hold on to it, and exhale, let it go through the nose. Inhale through the nose, hold on to it, and exhale through the nose. One more time. Inhale deeply through the nose, hold on to it, and exhale through the nose. And now we'll begin our counting. Inhale through the nose for a count of 3. Hold on to it, and exhale for 3. Hold on, hold it, the air out. Inhale for 3. Hold. Exhale for 3. Hold. 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 Inhale for 3. Hold. Exhale for 3. Beginning our increase. Inhale for 3. Hold. Exhale for 4. Hold. 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 Inhale for 3. Hold. Exhale for 4. Increasing again. Inhale for 3. Hold. exhale for 5. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, 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 exhale for 5. Increasing again, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 6. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 6. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 6. Decreasing, inhale for 3. Exhale for 5. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 5. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 5. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 5. Decreasing again, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 4. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 4. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 4. Decreasing again, inhale for 3. Exhale for 3. Hold, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 3. Last time, inhale for 3. Hold, exhale for 3. So, what was that like for you? Were you able to sustain the exhale for the full 6 when we got up to 6? A lot of people struggle with this one. The idea behind it, though, is learning how to really control the breathing. So, taking in enough air in the beginning so that we can sustain that nice, slow, and timed exhale. I bring us up to the 3 and the 6 just to get a feeling for what that might be like. And then as I decrease, hopefully you recognize, well, I thought 3 and 5 was hard, but when I did 3 and 6, it seemed a lot easier. And then we went down to 3 and 4, and hopefully that was a little bit easier the second time around. Just reflecting on what that might be like. Now, if we're going to practice this on our own, you definitely don't need to do 3 and 6. You can come up with any combination of numbers that you think is going to work for you. You can experiment a little bit and see what happens. See what helps you to feel a little more balanced and a little bit more calm. This particular breath work is really good for us when we have a little bit of anxiety and we start to get overwhelmed a lot. This type of breathing technique really helps to lower the anxiety levels and calm our nervous system. So the next exercise that we're going to work on today is a centering or grounding technique. So all of the exercises we're doing in here are different types of grounding and internal coping strategies. Internal coping strategies are things I can do for myself and by myself that don't involve another person. The grounding techniques that we're using in this series mostly come from or adapted from a class in trauma-sensitive yoga written by David Emerson. And so this particular exercise is one of those exercises that I've kind of borrowed and played with a little bit to make it appropriate for this type of a setting. It's called centering. So I'm actually going to read you the exercise, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I might actually do some of the movements in this exercise. It's a very gentle movement. It's just about finding your center. So there's a couple of ways that we can do that. If you're sitting in a chair, then I'm going to invite you to just find your comfortable seat. If you're sitting on the floor like I am, then also just find a nice way to comfortably sit. As you kind of do this, you're starting to turn on the part of your brain that's acknowledging how you feel and conveying that information up to your frontal cortex. So I will read the exercise now and we'll go into it. This exercise has been adapted from Living in the Present, Noticing Your Feet on the Ground. Notice how you're sitting in your chair. Perhaps start to get a feeling for your form. Beginning to experiment with finding your center. One way to do this is to begin with some movements. Maybe begin to think about your upper body as a pendulum. You may choose to gently rock forward and back or side to side. Just noticing what happens if you do. If you like, you can also make these movements a little bit more circular. Perhaps make these movements as big as they're going to be at first, and then slowly tightening your circle, making it smaller and smaller. As you begin to make your movements smaller and smaller, you may also wish to experiment with making them slower and more deliberate. As you do this, you may notice muscles in your lower abdomen beginning to engage. They will naturally start to brighten and activate as we move our bodies in this way. Perhaps take a moment to observe what's happening there in your center. If you like, you can interact with these muscles at your center by gently tensing or drawing your lower belly. If you like, pause here and investigate your center. So as you can see, I'm actually doing a little bit of centering myself, something that I kind of enjoy doing. It helps to relieve a little bit of the tension in my back if I kind of move around a little bit and notice where it's a little bit more comfortable to be. Now, this is an exercise that you can kind of do wherever. When I was teaching this recently to a group, we kind of talked about how this exercise is kind of like finding your balance when you're on a boat or riding the subway or a bus standing up, because you kind of have to figure out where your center is so you can kind of go through that. or surfing is another one, paddleboarding, anything where your ground is maybe a little bit shaky. Imagine that while you're trying to play around with this one, and just kind of moving around and noticing what goes on. And these movements can be really comfortable, but if they're not, then don't do them. It's all about noticing what's going on in your body. So our last exercise today is going to be another Vipassana meditation. Now remember, Vipassana means insight, and it's akin to the word mindfulness. And when we do these Vipassana style meditations, what we're really doing is trying to let our minds separate from our thoughts, just to kind of observe what's going on without making judgment and not really getting caught up in what's going on. So in the last meditation in session 1, we noted and labeled everything that brought our attention away from our breath. Just like that, we're going to start with some breath work, just noticing our breath, moving through our breath work, and noticing how our body reacts to breathing. And then as our attention is taken away, we're just going to acknowledge the fact that it's taken away, and without judgment, bring it back to the breath. I'm going to be cueing you and going back through the same script a few times to help you stay focused and grounded. Okay? So when we do our meditation practice, you can sit on the floor like I am. I'm actually sitting on a pillow, a meditation pillow. And when I sit on my meditation pillow, I sit towards the edge of my meditation pillow so that I can feel the bones at the bottom of my pelvis, which in yoga we tend to refer to as our sits bones, towards the very edge of the pillow. This helps me to sit up straight. If you choose not to do that, that's fine. However, if you do choose to sit on the floor and you have tight hips, I would suggest propping yourself up a little bit higher to help release the hips. This position is actually really, really nice for tight hips. The other thing that I try to recommend to do, no matter how you're sitting, is to straighten the back as much as we can. So just like we did in our breath work exercise, keeping the back nice and straight by trying to pull the bottom of the shoulder blades together. That straightens out the back. And then with our arms, we just let them hang loose out of our shoulder blades. So if you're in a chair that has armrests, let's try not to use them. We want to try to let the arms hang naturally and fall wherever they fall. You have a bunch of choices for the hand placement. So like my hands are coming flat, palms down on my lap. You can do the same. Or you can put your palms up on your lap if that's more comfortable. And if you like, you can kind of experiment with this a little bit and see what works best for you. Another option is to place your hands one inside the other and let them sit. That might be a little bit more comfortable for you. So I will give you the option to experiment a little bit and see what works well for you. We want to keep the neck nice and open, and by pushing the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, we can actually elongate the neck a little bit and rolling those shoulders down. We're opening up the neck. So what that's doing is it's helping to improve the circulation in the rest of our body so that our attention isn't going to get pulled away from our meditation to a place of discomfort. But the thing is, in this meditation, if it is pulled away to a place of discomfort, we just kind of notice it and let it go. So we will begin with our meditation. As I've said before, if you are uncomfortable closing your eyes, just find a non-moving point in front of you to fix your gaze. If you're doing this in a room with other people, please make sure that non-moving point in front of you is not another person. It's a little creepy. In any event, let's begin our meditation. So gently close your eyes, keeping your back straight but relaxed. Allow your body to breathe. No forcing of the breath. Allow your breath to assume its natural tides, noticing the body rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. beginning with just a simple object of awareness. Noticing the abdomen rising on your in-breath and falling on your out-breath. No imagination, no visualization, no control of the breath. Just allow the body to breathe. Rising in and falling out. Allow the body to breathe, rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. After some time, you may notice that your attention gets pulled away from your breath in a variety of ways. Perhaps through sounds you may be hearing, maybe through sensations in your body, maybe through thoughts that pass through your mind. As you notice these things happening, remember, sounds come and go. Sensations are noticed and then they fade away. And a myriad of thoughts are born and die in your mind. Through all of this, without any judgment, as you notice your thoughts being pulled away from your breath, that moment of awareness, bring yourself back to your breath, noticing the rising on the in-breath and the falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Neither reach toward nor push against any sound, any sensation, or any thought. Without judgment, just allow them to be and come back to your breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Allow your breath to be the hitching post for your mind. And while your mind may drift 1,000 times, 1,001 times, bring it back to your breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Notice your body rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. No imagination, no visualization. Just allow your body to breathe. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. As you sit and notice your breathing, you will likely also notice that your attention is taken away from your breath. It's likely to be taken away through sounds that you may hear, through sensations in your body, and through thoughts in your mind. As this happens, remember, the sounds that you hear will come and go. The sensations in your body will fade away. And a myriad of thoughts in your mind will evolve and disappear. As you realize that your mind is being pulled away without any judgment, just bring yourself back to your breath. Noticing the body rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Try not to reach towards nor push away any thoughts, any sounds, or any sensations that come into your mind. Without any judgment, just allow them to be. Don't grip, don't push away. Just allow it to exist with no judgment. And come back to the breath. Rising on your in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Rising on your in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Allow your breath to be the hitching post for your mind. While your mind may drift 1,000 times away from your breath, 1,001 times. Bring it back to rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Notice your body rising on the in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Just allowing your body to breathe. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. No imagination, no visualization, no control of your breath. Just allow it to breathe. Just allow yourself to breathe. Rising on the in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on your out-breath. As you focus on your breath, your awareness will be pulled away in a variety of ways. Your focus is likely to be pulled away from your breath through hearing sounds, through noticing sensations in your body, and noticing thoughts in your mind. As you notice these things, remember, sounds come and go. Sensations will fade away. And a myriad of thoughts will be born in your mind and die. As you notice these things, without any judgment, bring yourself back to your breath, noticing the body rising on your in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Rising on your in-breath and falling on your out-breath. Neither reach toward nor push against any sound, any sensation, or any thought. Simply just allow these things to be without any judgment. As you notice your attention being pulled away, bring yourself back to your breath, rising on the in-breath, falling on the out-breath. Rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. Allow your breath to be the hedging post for your mind. Your mind may drift 1,000 times, but 1,001 times, bring yourself back to your breath, rising on your in breath and falling on your out breath, rising on the in breath and falling on the out breath. And slowly start to bring your focus and your awareness back into the room, back into your body. Maybe bring a little bit of gentle movement into the body, moving parts of your body that have become stiff, gently blinking the eyes open and readjusting to the light. As you start to come back into the room and back into your body, just reflect on what that experience was like for you. Were you able to keep focusing on your breath? Were you able to allow yourself to let go of any thoughts that went through your mind? Did you find yourself getting stuck on any particular thought? This is a good meditation to practice on your own, just focusing on the breath and noticing the breathing, coming back to the breath, no matter what your mind goes to. Now it's time to think a little bit about Satya, now that we've completed all of our exercises. Satya means truthfulness, and truthfulness can be not lying to others or to ourselves, which is when we use our defense mechanisms. Take a few moments now to think about lying to yourself, both in your actions and in your self-talk, and answer the following questions. Have you ever told a lie to a friend or a relative? Be honest. What was the purpose of the lie? To protect you or to protect someone else? If you were lying to protect yourself, was the lie to help you believe a lie you told yourself about yourself? Think about it. What was the truth behind the lie? What was the purpose of the lie? Think about things you tell yourself that are not truthful. How do they make you feel? How do you think those you care about would feel if you told them the same lies, or if they found out that you tell them lies? How has not being truthful with yourself helped you in the past? How has not being truthful with yourself hurt you in the past? What do you think you can do to be more about Satya? We talk about truth and we talk about lying. Like we said in the beginning, lying to ourselves is usually the biggest lies that we tell. And we have to really think about why we're telling ourselves these lies. Why we tell ourselves things about ourselves that maybe aren't true, whether they be positive or negative. So we could tell ourselves, I'm a horrible person, I'm mean, I'm bad, I'm evil, which is probably not true. It's probably just something that you think about yourself because you know everything you've done wrong. But there are other lies that we tell ourselves, like, it's okay that I did this. It's okay that I slipped up this once. I'm not going to do it again. I really did do all my homework. It's all done, I promise. No, I didn't steal this. I didn't take something that didn't belong to me. But when we think about those lies, or no, I didn't say something like that. Why would I say something like that? When we think about the lies that we tell, we really need to think about why we're telling our lies. Who are we really protecting? If we're protecting ourselves and our ego, then maybe we need to start to learn how to be a little bit more truthful about ourselves, to ourselves. A lot of times that's the hardest thing for someone to do. In all my years of doing therapy, the one thing that is the most difficult thing to get most people to understand is that they create the problems. And in all the problems that exist in their lives, they are the common denominator. So in order to change the way people are treating them, in order to change the chaos in their lives, they need to change themselves. And that is the hardest thing to do. But when we're honest about what the changes are that need to be made, they just kind of happen. When we're honest about who we really are and what we need, those things do tend to fall into place. I hope you enjoyed our session today, and tune in for our next session where we'll be working on a different type of breathing technique, looking at extending the inhale and shortening the exhale. We're also going to be talking about brahmacharya and Satya, which work really nicely together. One is a yama, the other is a niyama, and although they're kind of opposites, they work nicely together. And they also tie in really nicely with the ideas of honesty and truthfulness and nonviolence. I hope to see you there. Have a great day. Namaste.